ever since I was a kid here in the state of Missouri, there's always been FFLs in people's homes. It's very common. There's people that build guns, or they repair guns, or they buy and sell guns, or buy guns, modify them and sell them. FFLs out of homes is very common. As a matter of fact, if you Google FFL dealers in Missouri, I dare to say there's probably more FFLs in homes than there actually are storefronts. Now, that's a very common thing. It's been around for a long time. I could run an FFL out of my house by simply, I got to go through the application process and whatever that looks like, and pay my tax stamps and things like that in order to get an FFL in my home, but I can. Now, the other problem that people really run into, I think, in America in general, is the authority of homeowners associations. Like, for example, I live in a homeowners association neighborhood, and I can't build a fence in certain areas. I can't build a shed without getting approval. I can paint my house only certain colors. You know how it goes. It's kind of ignorant, but it's how it goes. And they have a lot of authority. People have actually lost their homes because of violations of HOA bylaws. Now, these two things obviously are going to run into each other, and have in the past, but recently a bill in North Dakota was passed that gave Fargo, the city of Fargo, authority to say that people can't have FFLs in their homes based off of a 1970 law that gave the city kind of a dominant power over HOAs. Now, this is really what is at conflict, because if you begin to see cities shutting down FFLs because of homeowners association bylaws, I don't know if there's anything anybody can do to stop, to be quite honest. However, what has happened is that the North Dakota Supreme Court has stepped in and ultimately said that, yes, Fargo does have the right by law to say that you can and cannot do certain things in your home as far as running a business. However, the fact that it's an FFL and they're saying no is a violation of their Second Amendment, which trumps their little homeowners association bylaws, of course. So ultimately what we're looking at is, if bills are passed throughout this country, or if bylaws, because you can, for example, the city I live in, there's probably 500 neighborhood associations in this city, and all of them have different bylaws. So even in just this one little city that I live in, you got essentially 500 different laws playing out based off of which neighborhood association you live in. So this is going to come up. It has come up. I remember being in a different town and trying to run a business out of my house. It wasn't an FFL, and I was told I couldn't by the city because it was zoning things, and that's just, that's how it goes. But as of now, it's at least based off of the most recent case in North Dakota. And again, it's just a state Supreme Court at this point, but they have deemed it against your Second Amendment rights for any homeowners association to not allow you to run an FFL out of your home. Now, I'm going to predict that this same trend would carry into the federal courts, just a prediction. And I haven't seen any cases like this in the federal courts yet. Not to say it hadn't happened. I'm not a case analyst or anything like that, but I'm not familiar with any. These are just been mostly state and local things because they're affecting homeowners association bylaws, which are not necessarily federal things. So I believe that this is going to be the trend if anybody tries to stop anybody from opening an FFL or continuing to operate an FFL out of their home with the proper licensing from the federal and state governments, that homeowners associations are not going to be able to tell them they can't do that, even if it is against the homeowners association bylaws that you can't run a business out of your home. even if it's against the homeowners association bylaws that you can't sell guns out of your home. Doesn't matter. It's your constitutional right. And that's what the North Dakota Supreme Court has declared, is that yes, you have the constitutional right under the Second Amendment to run an FFL out of your home. And there's no homeowners association, at least in North Dakota, that can tell you can't. But I would like to open up some dialogue. This is the first time I've heard of people having problems like this that went so far to make it all the way to the state Supreme Court. Have you heard of anything in your neighborhoods, that sort of thing? Just open up the dialogue. What's going on with FFLs and homes in contradiction or in conflict? I mean, with homeowners association bylaws. What's that look like? Because I know here, man, it's pretty strict, but I'm going to give you an example. So like in the neighborhood association I live in, you're not allowed to have chickens. You're just not allowed to. Not allowed to have farm animals, that sort of thing. You're only allowed to have 2 dogs. They're very strict on what kind of animals you can and can't have, but the city allows for chickens. And recently there was a law passed in my city that said that homeowners associations can't tell you can't have chickens. So now anybody can have chickens, regardless of what your homeowners association says. And I just think that when it comes to guns, you got a stronger standing. And we have a strong homeowner association. Like, I don't like to mess with them. They intimidate me a little bit, but here it is. Like, they say you can't have chickens. City says, yeah, you can. So here we are having chickens. But again, you have a stronger standing with the Second Amendment than you do with chickens. So there you go. And again, any insights you might have on this, on how this is playing out in your neck of the woods, definitely put it below. I do want to take a moment and say most people watch the channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is also below. But most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.